So we're ready. Joanna de Angelis today, she chose a very particular way to talk to us about spiritual things, spiritual investment. She decided to talk to us using the word, the nomenclature of the financial market. So it's kind of interesting the way that she's going to present this topic to us about profit and loss. As always, we will be reading a little part of this lesson. Then we will be discussing and answering questions from the book. Again, book Alert, lesson 54 out of 60. From the Spirit Joanna de Angelis and the psychography of Divaldo Franco. So she starts like this. End of the fiscal year, time to evaluate results. Cycle ending, stage that begins. End of activities, moment of accountability. Take a pause in the activities to which you are bound, and also make a balance in order to examine the situation of the work you have undertaken. It is indispensable to value the gift of life, observing the effects of the investment of the resources that pass through your hands at the conclusion of a time period. Okay, obviously, Joanna de Angelis here is not talking about money or only about money, but as we said, she's using a very worldly terminology that many of us are familiar with, if not from the financial aspects. At least every time we get into a new year, right, we go through this process of, making an assessment of what we have done during this year, what efforts, what new actions, whatever we did, and we will make a balance out of it. Examine, okay, when I invested my time in this area, I found out that the results were very beneficial or brought me a lot of profit. And again, remember, we are not talking about just or only here in this case, or primarily in terms of finances, but in terms of thinking about the real purpose of our lives. So when we think about that, but like we have in the Spirit's book, that chapter that talks about the aim of life. When we think about the aim of life, why we are here, why we were given this incarnation, and primarily is for our own spiritual evolvement. When it comes to the time for us to assess the results of what we are doing with our lives, we have to take into account everything that we are doing and what is happening. Maybe, we waste too much time focusing on one aspect of life and overlook the other aspect of life. Maybe, in this area that we are pursuing our spiritual evolvement, we could add something else. All of that we have to think about. And so this is what she's inviting us to do here, to look for the benefits. I would like to see if you have any comments, considering, your own experience in this, uh, well, not only in life, of course, but in this spiritual quest. Let me start, for instance, giving my own example. Okay. When I look at myself, uh, before and after all this knowledge, I can only see that definitely it helped me to cope more with the difficult situations of life, gave me more patience and understanding and peace of mind, which before could have been very difficult. Clarity. Yes, Jeffrey.
Hey, I've been studying the Kabbalah for the last couple of years, and something that I like about the Jewish tradition is that there are like several holidays each year that focus on what Joanna de Angelis is talking about, that process of assessment and reflecting kind of what we've done in the most recent period of time. And I wish like Christianity or Spiritism that had more of those rituals embedded as part of the tradition, but I think that it's probably something that we can do every day anyhow, regardless of whether or not there's a holiday to mark that event.
Yeah, you see, we have that one of the most famous questions that we have in the Spirit's book. Okay, is the question that everyone almost know it by heart, is question 919 and 919A, which talks about how to achieve, your betterment. And the answers is, follow what Socrates said, know thyself. And then there is the 919A talks about, it brings a message from the Spirit St. Augustine, saying that we should do like he did, that every day at the end of the day he would think about everything that he did, everything that happened. So, and this became a huge, actually, in Spiritism. So in a way we are invited by to go for a personal assessment every day. But I do admit that perhaps having special days to do that could be very effective, because when you think about something that you are invited to do every day, maybe, not only you are not going to do that, but then every day, but then you say, oh, since I cannot do every day, I will do that never, So that's a good thought. Maybe we could we could put together a day of inner reflection. I like that, Jeffrey.
Perhaps
Uh-huh.
what catches my eye here is it is indispensable to value the gift of life. And when you combine that with observing the things that you do and the things you see around you, at least for me, I have become more present to the condition of people I see as I pass through different areas of the city. Mm-hmm. And that makes me concerned that I don't think I'm doing enough to help people. Because my life, from the way I see it, is magnificent compared to what I see many people having to deal with.
Yeah. It's a very important indication. I normally say that if we want to know where more or less we are on the in terms of level of spirituality, we have to think about how much we already have compassion and how much we act on it. So the more we have this emotions, like you're saying, and we are thinking about our brothers and sisters, and trying to act on it, it shows that we are on the right track in terms of our own spiritual involvement. Because the more we evolve, the less we can be indifferent to the pains of others, to the needs of others, regardless of how much we can assist, in which way we can assist. And this, I think, it really is part of she's talking about here. What the resources that we have at hand that we are putting to work. And sometimes we'll say, oh, I have a lot of money, I can give money. People will say that. Sometimes others will say, you know what, I'm a very good musician. I could, at least sometimes, every now and then, bring music to communities that otherwise would not be having or exposed to that. Or I'm very good in meditation training. I can go there and help them to, to relax, or provide things, for them as well. So there is always something we can do. One thing that is not positive is just leaving this emotional sadness corrode our soul. Because sometimes, people just get into a mode of, I'm not saying that this is happening with you, okay, Philip? I mean, now I'm just talking in general terms, but I see a lot of people complaining and saying that the world is horrible, look how much suffering. And at the end of the day, they are not even uttering a prayer for the world to get better, or for someone that sometimes is even very close to you, and that you could be saying a prayer, or doing something, cooking something to this person, and we're not doing that. So I think this lesson actually calls our attention to this as well. Look at what you have in your coffers, meaning the talents you have, right? We're not talking here only in terms of monetarily. We are talking about, everything that we have and that we were giving, and opportunities that we were giving. Anyone else would like to say anything? Let me see. Okay, Orlando. Yeah, that's a good action. I mean, to teach people. Yeah, that's good. That's beautiful. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Consider the patrimony that you have at your disposal now, and begin planning for the future anew. A budget in sight is a display of tasks to be executed. If you have not succeeded in transferring to the incoming ministry goods that allow you ample speculation and postures in the market of goodness, do not paralyze yourself in innocuous lamentation. Raise your poorly applied resources through loans from the divine banks, and invest them wisely regarding the future. Oh my God, that's right. Oh, I was reading this lesson, and it was hard but at the same time, like I said at the beginning, quite so interesting, because the way she comes to us here. Okay, you're calling yourself materialist. You only are thinking about in terms of the language of the world. I'll bring you the language of the world, but now, with a different view. And this is again what she's talking about here, for us to examine what we have been doing, what we are doing now, what we have at our disposal, if we are really putting everything that we have into work in terms of, you know, benefiting not only others but ourselves. Because here, you know, sometimes it happens that we do have solutions to help ourselves to better, you know, our own lives, and we prefer to, you know, to just cross our arms, waiting for the divine providence perhaps to resolve everything. And this is when she says here, we paralyze ourselves just lamenting about the situation we are in, the situation around, and see there is no point in this kind of lamentation. So she says here, if you by any chance really feels that you do not have anything, ask the divine providence to send you along, right? To provide you with something that you now are going to be more careful with and pay more attention and use that wisely. Comments, questions? Okay, I'll go to the next one then. As long as life thrives in the body, opportunities multiply favorably. This is so important. We live as if our physical body is immortal. It is not. Our soul, our spirit is immortal, but not our physical body, and not the condition, the situation where we are placed now. So as long as we are here, we will have opportunities to really improve, to really prove ourselves, to really speed up our process towards what we all want, that is peace and love in our lives and enlightenment. Okay, so that's really important what she says here. It is best to not overestimate the gift you were giving that you transfer for tomorrow, as a normal consequence of the valuable utilization of the assets you presently enjoy. And this is another thing that we commonly do, you know. We have the possibilities, but we say, oh, I'll do that tomorrow. You know, we procrastinate in a way. Or and sometimes I say that the spiritists can be a bit lazy or accommodate, because now that they know that there is reincarnation, they can even postpone to the next life. But we don't know what kind of conditions and situations we were going to face. Listen, we do not even need to die. You know, a year and a half ago, our lives were completely different. Overnight, almost overnight, everything changed. We had to adapt. We had to reinvent ourselves and ways of living. We have to think about the opportunities and really build for whatever comes next. But we cannot be sure that it's going to be in this in a present state of accommodation that we may be. So it's not because we possess now that we can say for sure that it's going to continue to be like this in the future. So double your investments and trust in the speculation of the movement of love. Receive monetary adjustment in light, thus speeding up the benefits of spiritual enlightenment in the assumed responsibility. So, of course, when we are talking about the spiritual values, we are talking about, like we said before, compassion, charity, love towards our neighbors. And the more we give out of love, whatever we have, whatever we can give, the more we will be gathering, profiting in terms of light, speeding up our spiritual enlightenment, fulfilling the responsibilities we have assumed, because of course, if we are in this position nowadays, it's not that happened by chance. We made a commitment, we planned this before our reincarnation. Okay, let's see here. Do angels play a part in comforting our mission during the times our the free will interferes? Oh, the good spirits will always try to comfort us, appease our minds, bringing knowledge that can prevent us to accomplish all the progress that we could. But in a way, very much like our parents, and here we all come from parents, right? Our parents would tell us that we should do things in one way, and we could rebel. And let's assume that they were right, okay? Because parents are not perfect as well. But assuming that they were right, how many times you as a child or you as a mother or father have seen, a young rebelling and saying, no, I want to go through this way. No, I want to do it this way. No, I'm not going to do anything. And so our free will is always going to be respected. So this is how many times, although we have all the help we can receive from the spirits, not necessarily we are going to implement the help in our lives. Any other comment or question?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry,
Okay.
Sonia.
Go ahead, Mary.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry about the call. I just want to say that when the pandemic came, it really changed my life. And I started to read more spiritual books, and it just seemed like a slow progression. And now I'm doing meditation and relaxation things. But I realize I get these wonderful thoughts after I pray about how I am. And I discovered I'm a very judgmental person. And I didn't think I was, but I truly am. My neighbors across the street, we have political differences. And I was just so disappointed in them because they voted for the other party. And they believe in it. And it kind of turned me off, and they're wonderful people. And I've learned to get over that and look beyond and see the good in them and see what wonderful people they really are. So I'm trying to work on that judgmental thing now.
That's wonderful, Marlene. I myself, in my personal, it's one of the very, very important thing that we have to do in terms of analyzing ourselves and our behaviors. I have been, paying attention to this, being judgmental in my life for the past few years, and it is hard. It is really, really hard. It's difficult to accept other people's opinions. Now, you know, we are living this situation as well with vaccine, no vaccine, and etc. Right? It is hard, but it is exactly what you say. We have to understand that everyone have their free will, their ways of being, and that we cannot just, like you said, judge a person from one side that is not in agreement with us. And one or whatever, it can be even a little more. And that's the beauty of life in a way as well, because if we keep an open mind, we can learn from others, from practice of others, implement in our lives. Like just for now, if for instance, you know, when Jeffrey told me about the days for self-assessment, I thought, oh my God, this is so good. I want to implement that, even if on a personal level, you know. So we are constantly learning, but judgment is really not respecting the rights of others. And yeah, so I think it's beautiful that you share that with us, and that you're going in this way. I think we all have problems in this area. It's very difficult not to judge, not to label, and we commonly forget, right, that we all have glass roof, right? So no one can cast the first stone. So yeah, thank you for sharing with us, Sonia, and then Jeffrey. Mm-hmm.
Yes, then since the beginning of the chart, then usually we make plans in the end of the year, like, oh, I'm going to start to exercise, physical exercise, or things like that. Usually after 2-3 months, we forget about all decision we try to make in the end of the year. And as Philippe mentioned about but in the side of spiritual, as Philippe mentioned, we always believe we are going to, I feel like this way, I believe I'm doing less than I would like to do. And in this short notice, if I acted like Joanna de Angelis calls us daily, what we are looking is fail, because it's a short notice. And about spiritual decision and something we really would like to change in our life, we need more time. Then, an example in my life, personal life, I'd like to improve a relationship with someone close to me. I spent like 2 years, and now I can see I change because when I watch the someone actions, not about myself, then I'm not able to see how I'm changing. But now I can see how someone reaction with me. And then yesterday I saw, wow, I believe I achieved it the way then I would like to be, because I saw someone changing with me, and then was a relaxing inside my heart. Then what I tried to tell is, I need more time to have profit in our investment in the way we apply for the spiritual investments.
Absolutely. It doesn't happen overnight. That's the same thing, right? We wanted to to see the prophets an hour later. It doesn't happen this way. Jeffrey.
I really like that statement, the bottom there about double your investments and trust and speculation of the movement of love. I think that something I really love about Spiritism is this idea that we're all evolving and we're all evolving together. And I think that, you know, sometimes like you mentioned, Jasara, with, you know, the COVID situation and the vax, anti-vax, and what's happening in Afghanistan, Haiti, like there's so much suffering in the world. And sometimes, you know, I get overwhelmed by the news and I'm not sure what I can do to help. And I feel in some ways society is lost, you know, that we're just like, we're done for. But Spiritism reminds me that we're evolving, and even these moments of darkness and pain, like good will come out of that, right? And there's the, like Dr. Martin Luther King said, the arc of justice is long, you know, but the arc of change is long. It bends toward justice, I think. So yeah, just to believe that there is change happening, and it's just it takes a while, and we all have to get involved in order to do it.
It's beautiful that you mentioned Martin Luther King, because when you were talking, I was thinking about him, and you said his name because he had a statement as well that goes like this: "You can only see the stars when it's dark."
You saw that?
I love that. I love that so much. It's I mean, we could be here meditating about the depth of this statement, you know, this phrase from him, because it is so true. Sometimes, you know, we take for granted so much that we have, and then it's only when we do not have them anymore that we will value things. And yeah, I considering what you and Sonia said, and the invitation here for Joanna de Angelis is, you know, keep on investing, keep on doing, right? Do not accommodate, do not stay there, delay, like she says here, paralyzing yourself in just lamentations. Do something. Use your time while you are here, because there will, and the more we do that, the more things are going to happen. The problem again is that I always mention that we want to wake up the following day as a Martin Luther King, right? I sleep today, Jusara, tomorrow I want to be this great hero, this great personality that did so much, and others that we could mention here. But it doesn't happen like this. And it doesn't happen without effort. You know, there was beating, there was complaining, there was jail time, and there was murdering, right, in the life of this man. But you see that the way that he invested his resources in terms of giving his own life to a purpose that would be exactly an investment on the movement of love. I mean, we are here decades after, still talking about him and still valuing all the efforts that he did. And just because we were mentioning him, but we could mention other people as well. Yes, Orlando?
Yes, I was very surprised with Jeffrey, because he showed some kind of empathy. And I have realized that being a spiritist, it doesn't allow you to have any empathy, because you know the reality of life after death. And you're so knowledgeable in comprehending, you know, the spirit world, that you don't have no empathy, you know, and spiritist, I mean, yes. So I was very surprised about Jeffrey.
This is so much true that Spiritism normally says that it has one motto, which is, without charity, there is no salvation. If the motto is the practice of charity, how can we think about doing good to others if we do not have empathy for them, for their problems, for their pains, for that difficulty. So it's a huge thing, actually. Let me go on because we still have some more material to cover here. Life is wise accounting in which the celestial giver facilitates the enrichment of human shareholders in the public corporation of universal fraternity. Every correct or incorrect investment results in debt or credit, which will be incorporated in the account of those in process of emotional adjustments. Again, she is using this way of presenting to us, but what she's saying here is that we all know we receive all the blessings from God. We receive all the possibilities from God. And when I was preparing for this, I was thinking about that parable of the talents, that Lord came to one and gave 10, gave to other 5, gave to other 1, and say, take care, look after those talents. When I come back, I want to see how you have invested this, right? And so the one that was giving 5 or 10, doubled. The one that had received 3 doubled. The one that had received 1 said, oh, I know that you like to receive profit in everything, and I was afraid I was going to lose what you gave me. So I just left it the way you gave to me, and here is your 1 back. And what did the Lord, or the of the house did at this point? He said, I'm going to give what you had to the one that has more, because he knows how to invest. He's going to use the possibility. So here is the same thing. We have been receiving possibilities, and the more we receive the possibilities, we apply them in goodness, personal and for the world, the more we will be giving to continue acting in this way. But of course, sometimes we lose our hands, right? And we may not value the opportunities, not do what we have to do. That's why sometimes we will see loss. But it doesn't mean that we cannot recover, that we cannot start doing things. And this, we have the other parable, the workers of the last hour. The workers of the last hour, they have been called to do the work for a long time. So they wasted their time, but they are giving opportunities. Okay, any comment or question?
Yeah. About our planet, everybody can do little things that will help. Like, I stopped using paper goods. I don't use paper plates or plastic knives and forks and so on. And I don't idle the car. So all these things help. But in the end, if our planet succumbs, remember, there are many other planets that we can go to, and we do. And also, for the ones that think, well, I'm going to wait for the next reincarnation and hope for better parents or whatever. Well, what if your spirit's guides decide that, no, you didn't get the lesson, so we're going to send you right back and you'll have to do it again.
Yeah. And sometimes they will send us in much harsh conditions. You thought it was difficult. Now, unfortunately, because you didn't invest in the bank of love, this is what you have. Okay, the only parents that agreed to receive you live in very difficult places or very difficult conditions. It's very important what you said, and a wonderful example, Marlene, because it shows exactly what we wanted to exemplify here. We're talking about little things, And it doesn't matter if, you know, in your neighborhood, you are the only one doing that. You're not the only one doing that. You're less one doing what is wrong, right? And I mean, little by little, people are going to be impacted by it as well. And we have to do our share and not keep on waiting for others to start doing for us to follow. Why can we not be the leaders? Why can we not be the examples? So yes, you know, this is a beautiful example in terms of, you know, taking care for the planet. And although you're right, there are other planets that we could go, we have a responsibility towards this one. We cannot just say, you know, discard this planet as we discard a piece of garment, you know. We have a responsibility here. And I mean, in this transference, like I said, we may go to a very hostile atmosphere in another planet in case we damage this one, because they say, I'm not going to give you a beautiful house again. Look at what you did with your last one. Now, you know, you have to work from scratch with the sweat of your brow, you know, like the Bible says, and start building this planet, and then you will value all the things you have. That's wonderful. That's really good, a good example. So let's go to the next one. It is obvious that we refer in this analysis to the expressive and superior values of the immortal spirit. Health and disease, joy and sorrow, conquest and loss, positive and harmful action are deductible bonds and notes drawn against the moral branches of the inner bank of one's soul, the primary residence of the kingdom of heaven. So we have the spark of God in us. The kingdom of heaven that we want to reach is not outside. It's here. I may be in the most beautiful place. I can go to paradise here on earth. But if my mind is unsettled, if there is something wrong with my health, with my family members, you know, other things, the place may be beautiful, but I'm still not enjoying. So everything relates to our state of mind, the state of our spirit. So this is, let's say, a recipe for a good investment. Do you want to achieve the kingdom of heaven? So use your resources in this kind of investment. Invest in yourself, in the enlightenment of your soul, in compassion, in empathy, in looking after, you know, the planet, your brothers and sisters, and you will find, you will see the results of this investment of love. Questions, comments? Okay, so let's.
I have a question.
Yes.
You said investing in yourself, but I cannot just invest in myself, but I need to think the other ones and not the way I'm responsible for the others' actions, but to give some supply for them, make them able to change themselves, right?
Yes, and the thing is, I always like to say, you know, invest in yourself, better yourself, love yourself, forgive yourself, because those are very important things in our part of our process. And I want to make sure that all the individuals know that when we are talking about spiritism, we are not just talking about, you know, doing charity to the world, but, you know, things that are going to be affecting you directly, okay? But having said that, at the same time, one of the best ways of achieving all of this that you want, that we mentioned here, is exactly by being of service to others. So it's a sure way of bettering ourselves, of bettering our conditions, of loving ourselves more, because of, you look at yourself and you feel proud of yourself, of what you're doing. You forgive yourself because, now, before I didn't know better, now I know, and I'm doing good with what I know. So we start feeling less guilt as well. So in a way, you see, it's a two-way street. Right? We through helping and assisting others, the world, so to say, we are going to be receiving. It is, I mean, that image that I always like to think about, that our actions are like boomerang. I throw my action in the world and it comes back to me. And it comes back to me. Always. It will always come back to you. So that's why, depending on what you're doing, is what you're going to be receiving in return. So she says here, concluded task, rendering of services finished. Attained labor, statement inside. The balance is inevitable in any situation in which you travel. Christian accounting, however, is revolutionary in view of the contingents of the purpose in which it is structured. That was a very hard transition to make, by the way. I had to have a financial advisor to tune the vocabulary here. Anyway, let's go. Jesus said, whoever has will be given more, and they will have in abundance, an abundance. It's exactly the example that we gave in terms of the parable of the talents, when the one that received one and didn't do anything with it, the one that he received it was given to the one that had more. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them. Again, you're not ready for this commitment. I gave you one, you didn't do anything with that. So you have to mature more in order to later on again receive this kind of responsibility. And if someone takes your coat, do not withhold your shirt from them. So here is, they got your coat, give them your shirt as well, because here we are talking about the material things that at the end of the day are not going to value that much. If anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go 2. They are the truly rich according to the books of evangelical economy. The humble are the triumphant ones, and those who thirsty for righteousness, this shall be satiated. This is how the skillful minister of divine finance concludes. Plan your fiscal tasks of love and charity, and go sowing stars of hope like a millionaire of goodness. Renounce yourself and give your assets. Donate all that you have, and in a final review, understand that the greatest and most valuable investment is that of self-giving, offering oneself, therefore, for the enrichment of the world in need of peace. So here, to end, she brings those lessons of Jesus that goes along the same line of thinking that she's presenting. And again, when she's saying here for us to renounce yourself, for instance, she's not saying that we have to be a burden to society. again, is how we are positioning ourselves. It doesn't mean that we have to donate all material resources that we have and again be a burden to society. We have to make our contribution. But donate all we have here means pay attention to your talents, to your position, to your situation, and help use these resources, invest them in this way to, reach benefits from yourself, for yourself, and of course, benefits to the world. Any question or comment here? Stop sharing.
Thank you to share your assets with us and invest in us and help us in every lesson you teach us. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly the spirit, and thank you for identifying that in a way I'm using a possibility that I have to share with others, and I can assure you that by reading and reflecting of about what Joanna de Angelis is saying, every time we went one of the study groups, I feel that I got more out of it than you did. So that's what she's saying here, it's the double reward, right? Because yeah, you know what I mean.
Sarah,
Yes.
what's more important is that whenever you express yourself, you're expressing the messages with an open mind. It's so important. When I say an open mind, it means that the normal, regular people will be able to comprehend more. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, Orlando, you see, even following what Marlene was saying before, there is no other way of doing that, because otherwise we would be judgmental. We would not be respecting, others' ways of thinking, of expressing themselves. And in Spiritism, we are so much warned about the difference that we have in terms of level of involvement, right? I mean, I cannot expect, like we say, a 2-year-old to know what we know, to understand life as we understand. And we are living among spirits that could be compared to, that we could call more children than we are, because we still are kind of, maybe preteens, but yeah, there are younger spirits in knowledge, and once we put that in mind, our expectations are different. Our respect is going to increase, even in terms of choices of and beliefs as well that they may have, because to us maybe these are not important anymore. We move to a next stage, but to them perhaps this is exactly what they need for this whole process, like we did when we were like this. So this is why it's very important to have this open mind. I love one thing in Spiritism that says the following: Spiritism doesn't forbid you anything. So this is wonderful, we are not inhibited in doing anything that we want, but it always says, you throw the boomerang in the world, it's going to come back. Are you going to catch with your hand, or it's going to knock you down in your head, right? So this is how it is, and yeah.